Hey there, welcome back. You're actually just in time. I was about to discuss something from my childhood again, not to be too surprising. In previous videos of mine, I've discussed briefly that I was primarily a console kid growing up, despite the vast collection of PC CD-ROM games that I've had for years. But, truth be told, that's not entirely true. The games that I did play weren't the collection of CD-ROM games that I own, but instead found through perusing the wonderful World Wide Web. Last month I found and subsequently spent a week watching everything posted by the creator Deam Jelly here on YouTube, who predominantly talks about late 90s to early 2010s internet and childhood nostalgia. They do really good work at capturing a lot of the things that I personally have a lot of nostalgia for, as well as providing interesting perspectives on the female side of the culture wave. One video they made relatively recently was a Webkinz iceberg discussing pretty much everything they knew about it. And it sent me down a rabbit hole of my own about these old pet simulation games, both involving plushies and not, that I used to play as a child. And this may surprise some people, but I was completely enamored with these kinds of games. I really couldn't get enough of them, even if a lot of them were considered girly, or whatever. I never really cared. I found them to be really enjoyable. I would burn through all the free-to-play actions that I could do for the day, and then move on to the next game, which was essentially just the same shit, just in a different coat of paint. Truth be, my time on each website would increase greatly if there was an arcade section based around playing Flash games. I really liked playing Flash games as a kid. Not that it would really surprise anyone. Now, there were two styles of these games. Digital-only pet sims like Moshi Monsters and things of the sort. Then there were the toys-to-life ancestors that were little stuffed animals you could purchase at the store that would give you a special code to unlock that animal in the online game associated with it. Basically an early form of Skylanders or Amiibos. And I played a little of both, of course. My computer time was limited when I was a child, especially around the time that I got an all-in-one PC, which sucked actual dick and would overheat constantly because all-in-one PCs are a sin against nature, if I'm being honest. My disdain for all-in-one PCs aside, because of it I didn't really use the computer a whole lot as a child, which further increased my enjoyment of toys, action figures, and console games. Despite these days playing pretty much exclusively on PC when it comes to new titles that aren't Nintendo releases. Starting off, like most people born within the 2000s, I had a few Webkinz as a kid. Unfortunately, I don't have any of them anymore because I've more or less grown out of them, but I do distinctly remember the ones I did have, since I was a big fan of the toys as a kid. I remember I had the clownfish, an opossum, as well as a shark, I think. I also had the Webkinz exclusive species of a Google, which I thought was a real creature for years because of this. Interestingly though, I didn't really play the game a whole lot. I was more interested in toys and console games as a small child. But I did play the occasional PC game. Rarely though, if I didn't really want to watch YouTube or play Ultimate Flash Sonic on Newgrounds. Neopets is a certified classic. If you grew up using the internet in the 2000s, you more likely than not had a Neopet as a child. And if you didn't, well, aren't you special? I can't really say a lot, because this was around the time when I was considered by my parents too young to use the computer, much less the internet. So my mom actually had a lot of the control over what me and my siblings' Neopets did as a child. As time went on, I forgot about it, and it's most probably dead by now. So... oh well. I'm aware this one had a lot of online notoriety due to being one of the first internet-based virtual pet sims, but I was too young in my parents' eyes to use the computer at the time, much less the internet. So everything was done through my mom, and since I was the third child, I had very little say in what the Neopets were doing for the day. I've really not paid attention to Neopets at all since I forgot about it in like 2007 or 2008. I really hope it didn't go to complete shit. Oh. Moshi Monsters was another one of these kinds of games, made by those elusive creatures known as the British, whatever they are. I remember this one the most because it was the one that I played last. I think I was around 10 or 11 when I played it, and I was completely obsessed with it. I I remember I had two Moshis as a kid. I had a Diavolo and a Zombor. I actually still remember their species names off the top of my head. That's how obsessed I was with them. I don't remember the names I gave them though. I'm sure it was something very creative though. I have a lot of memories of playing the ice cream shop game and snooping through my siblings' official moshling journal to find out how to get the cool moshlings. Like Ecto. He's a personal favorite, alongside Squidge, my first ever moshling, which was this cool bat-like critter that I love still to this day as a design. Unlike Webkinz and Neopets, which in my opinion have art that's either bad or just kinda bearable, Moshi Monsters for its first few years had such a distinct, coherent art direction that I think is genuinely really cute. Apparently, get this, Moshi Monsters had a fucking movie? Yeah, I didn't know about that either. Probably because it was a major flop, to be perfectly honest. It also had some Nintendo DS and mobile games that I didn't play, so I'm just not gonna talk about them. Another thing is, Lady Gaga's music rep, Ate My Heart Incorporated, actually managed to prevent any of the Moshi Monsters music made by the in-game idol moshling Lady Gugu, specifically the parody Paparazzi, based off of Lady Gaga's song Paparazzi, from being sold through any music service. This eventually led the character to be retired and replaced by a non-infringing Baby Rocks character. And hey, there's a Moshi Monsters rewritten project available, and sometimes I play it when I'm feeling nostalgic. So if you're a user of it, I'm sure I'll be your close personal friend who would never abandon you under any circumstance if you added me. As of now, we're diving into the more niche stuff, also known as the things I can't find information about easily on the internet. I'm sure that's a testament to the popularity and quality of the products, and only in a good way, of course. This one, fortunately, I actually still have, so I don't look completely like a crazy person. Not that I didn't already, though. Shining Stars was made by Kid Brands, in association with the unofficial International Star Registry, which is where all of those name your own star and own a star legally scams came from. As a result, there's an unofficial, unreal, untangible star out there by the name of Leo, because I'm not very creative with names. I really don't remember much about this, aside from the fact that the characters would float around on these Kirby-adjacent star platforms. Either way, it's the same soup just reheated, in the way that buying one of the plushies would also give you an access code to allow you to register an account. You know, the usual fodder. Unfortunately, this game, as far as I'm aware, is completely dead. There's not a trace of it remaining online. There's no rewritten project for it, and the Internet Archive has barely anything saved for it. So, politely, hey Lost Media Wiki, maybe fucking get to work? Please and thank you. Seapals is a thing. I had the lobster. The plush aside, it was so bare bones that I'm actually convinced it was meant to be a desktop idle game that you let run while you were working on other stuff. I remember very, very little about this game. I think I actually only ever played it once in my life. And the only real information I could find about Seapals was information on a blogspot page made by the creator of Seapals. Turns out, though, I'm not even the first person to talk about Seapals in this essay-like format. Fellow creator SOBennison made a pretty decently in-depth video talking about Seapals that I highly recommend. I honestly can't even remember how Seapals came into my possession. As far as I'm aware, Seapals are a local cryptid of my country. There are some around the internet for sale, but I really wouldn't trust someone who would sell something like this, considering, despite the fact that I actually owned one as a small child, I still don't even believe that they are a thing that exist. To close this video, I want to share this absolutely insane toy that I had, that I remembered about while making this video. It has absolutely nothing about it online, aside from a few of them being sold on eBay, so I think I'm legitimately the only person online that has ever really owned one of these. Dunkadoos, not to be confused with Dunkaroos, completely different concept, are a bizarre stuffy that makes absolutely no sense. These are stuffed animals you put in water to grow it to full size. as far as I'm aware, that's completely antithetical to the concept of a stuffed toy. On paper, at the very least, you would think, okay, well, these are little ocean critter stuffed animals that you would put in water. That makes sense. And, well, most of them are. But no, they had, like, cats and dogs as well. It was really weird. Since these are so obscure, let me show you how to actually operate this forklift certification level entertainment device. Okay, so just as like a side note, I'm in my kitchen now, so the acoustics in here aren't fantastic. You're just gonna have to live with it. But yeah, so I have the Dunkadoo shark and a Dunkadoo bag. These are the two ingredients that you'll need to make this thing. That's pretty much the long and the short of it. So yeah, you have on this bag that comes with the Dunkadoos, you have these instructions. 4 basic steps, very easy to understand. So the first thing you have to do is you have to fill it up to this water line. It even says it on the bag. So we're just gonna do that really quick. So the next step that you have to do is that you have to take the Dunkadoo and you have to put it in the bag with the water. Yeah, I'm not kidding about that. So we're gonna put him in there. And lay him down flat. And then you lightly squeeze it until the toy grows to full size. You can use a bowl, perhaps, or another slightly larger bag if you have one lying around. You don't have to use the Dunkadoo's official instruction bag. I will because I'm fortunate enough to still have it. So yeah, you just close it up, and then you just get in there, you little rat bastard. And then you squish it until he grows to full size. Alright, it's getting there. It's almost fully erect. It's almost fully erect. So once it's done becoming hard, don't take that out of context. You can just set it off to the side and dump the water out. After that, the bag's fucking useless. Toss it, do whatever you want with it. Who cares? So yeah. Once it's out of the bag, you can then start to dry it off. So it becomes a happy shark. I believe the bag says that you're supposed to use like something more akin to a ShamWow, but I don't have any of those at the moment, so you're just gonna have to forgive me. Once that's done, there you go. You have your own little lovely baby boy. How about that? That's the long and the short of how to prepare your Dunkadoo. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed watching me try and waterboard a shark. I'm sure you had an experience full of self-discovery and inspiration. Aside from that, truth be, I have no idea where these came from, but interestingly, they were made by Jakks Pacific. Yeah, the same ones currently making all those video game toys that you desperately wanted as a child. Anyways, to relate it to the rest of the video, it had a website at one point, but the Internet Archive doesn't have a good, or any, in fact, archive of the website at all. I highly doubt it was a virtual pet game. It was most likely just a promo website about the Dunkadoos, but I never went to it and it doesn't exist anywhere. This toy was a complete anomaly from Jakks Pacific. Despite holding it in my hand, which surprisingly has a decent amount of weight to it, I still don't believe this is an actual tangible product in the real world. Side note, the image of the penguin being quote-unquote deflated on the bag is genuinely funny to me. I can't say why though. So yeah, that's pretty much my entire history with those virtual pet simulators. After Moshi Monsters, I pretty much stopped playing them for the most part, instead garnering a lot more interest in playing God on The Sims 3 for Wii. This has been a lot more revealing than I wanted it to be. I'm sure there's some freaks out there that are willing to play psychiatrist on me to really figure out what's wrong with me, so in order to avoid that, I'm gonna go into hiding for the next month. And when I decide to poke my head out again, you'll know that something's going on. Anyways, see ya.